Welcome. Today, we're going to dive into the truly profound final verses of Surah An-Najm, the Star. It's an incredible journey, really, that takes us from this powerful divine vision all the way to the ultimate act of human surrender that it calls for.
So, as is tradition, let's begin. I seek refuge in God from the rejected adversary.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful.
So, this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Think about it. After a divine message comes down, after all the signs are shown, what's the end game? Where does it all lead? Well, the final verses of this surah give us a really powerful answer to that very question.
Okay, so before we get to the big climax, there's this powerful, almost urgent warning. You can feel the intensity building here as the message speaks directly to those of us who might be, well, distracted and not really paying attention to what's coming. The message starts by connecting itself to this long, timeless tradition. It's basically saying, hey, listen up. This isn't some brand new warning. Nope. It's a continuation of the exact same core truth that all the messengers have brought throughout history. It's a reminder of this consistent, divine pattern. So, what's the warning all about? It's about the closeness of what the Quran calls the approaching day. You know, the day of return. The language here is so intentional. It's meant to create this sense of urgency, to tell us that what feels so far off in the future is actually, in reality, right around the corner. But here's the thing. Even though it's so close, its exact timing is a complete mystery, and that mystery is known only to God. This verse really drives home the idea of absolute divine authority. No one else, nobody, can unveil or speed up this moment. The point isn't when it will happen, but the absolute certainty that it will happen. And right here, you can feel the tone start to shift. It becomes this really direct, almost personal questioning of our own state. It's like it's asking us. So you hear this huge news, this powerful discourse, and you just find it strange, something to just marvel at from a safe distance. And then it gets even more pointed. You laugh, but you don't weep? I mean, the message is just so heavy. Its implications are so huge that you'd think the natural response would be this deep sense of awe, maybe even tears. To laugh? Well, that just shows how disconnected you are from the reality of it all. And this is the final diagnosis, if you will, of the spiritual state it's talking about, samidun. It's this state of being just totally absorbed in distractions, just turning away without a second thought. And this sets the stage perfectly for the surah's final, incredibly powerful command. But you know what's amazing? After this really intense warning, the surah doesn't just leave you hanging in a state of anxiety. Not at all. It offers the solution, the antidote to all that heedlessness, in one single, clear, powerful instruction. This is it. This is the culmination of the entire chapter. The whole journey started with this incredible vision of a star descending, and now it commands our descent. Fasjudu, so fall down and prostrate. It's the ultimate response, really, to hearing the truth. Just surrender and worship.
And you have to understand, this wasn't just some abstract command. There's a powerful story that goes with it. When the Prophet Muhammad recited this very verse in Mecca, its spiritual weight was so immense that everyone who was there, believers and even non-believers, they all just fell into prostration. It's this incredible moment that shows us a truth that goes way beyond just agreeing with an idea in your head. So, what exactly is this act of prostration, this sajda? Well, it's so much more than just a physical movement. The tradition teaches us that it has two dimensions that you just can't separate, the outer form and this incredibly profound inner reality.
So on one hand, you've got the physical act of the body, right? You take your forehead, the highest part of your body, and you place it on the lowest ground. But that's just an echo, a mirror of what's happening inside. It's mirroring the soul's posture, that inner reality of humility, of awe, and of the complete surrender of yourself before the real.
The great scholar Al-Ghazali, he just puts this so beautifully. He says that the physical act means nothing if your ego is still standing tall. The real prostration, the one that matters, happens when our pride, our whole sense of self-importance, is finally lowered beneath the weight of divine truth. And then you have the poet Rumi, who takes us even deeper. For him, the ultimate prostration is really a state of annihilation, or fana. It's that moment where the you just dissolves. It disappears so completely that nothing is left in your awareness except the divine presence.
I mean, that's the absolute peak of spiritual surrender right there. Okay, so we've talked about the physical and the psychological, but the Islamic mystical tradition, well, it sees even deeper layers of meaning encoded inside these final ideas of prostration and worship. So in the mystical tradition, even the letters of these words have hidden meanings. There's a system called abjad, where each letter has a number value. And when you use it, this incredible symbolic journey just appears. The word sajda adds up and reduces to the number 9, which represents completion. And ibadah, which means worship, reduces to 1, the number of ultimate unity, of divine oneness. It's like the words themselves are a map of the soul's journey home. And here's another really cool analogy to think about. In physics, we all know about gravity, right? It's the force that pulls everything toward a center. Well, in metaphysics, there's a kind of spiritual gravity called ubudiyya. It's this state of servitude, of worshipfulness, that is constantly pulling the soul back to its divine source. So when you think about it that way, prostration is just the soul's most natural act. It's yielding to this fundamental spiritual gravity. So after this whole journey we've been on, from the initial warning to the command to all these deeper meanings, the message becomes something deeply personal. It's really an invitation for each of us to find our own sense of completion in that act of surrender. And that leads us to a kind of personal reflection, a munajat, which is like an intimate prayer inspired by this final verse. It goes something like this. I heard the call and fell before I knew it. Earth became sky beneath my forehead. And it continues. O end of all beginnings, receive my bow as my return. And so we're left with this question, a question for you to really sit with and reflect on. This surah, it started with the descent of a star, a revelation coming down from above. And it ends with the descent of the self, a surrender coming from deep within. So when all the noise of the world finally fades away, when there's nothing left that feeling of surrender, what is your heart's final prayer?